it was under budgeted and now we're 36 down.
Under budgeted, yes.
I was just wondering what drove that. Was it
I
coaches
think
or?
I
advisors?
believe it's
What happened was.
the FMIS system not having,
Mhm.
you know, that critical.
The other thing is too, we were kind of flying blindly.
That's what I mean,
Really,
that
and
critical
truly,
data
It was unbelievable. But what's happening is we were kind of looking back. And in some categories, we didn't realize that the numbers were what they were because of COVID. There was
Right.
one that was really, like, really not, oh, it's the big number in here.
Mhm.
It's like $140,000 because under, what is it? OT, PT and speech, because during COVID, everybody was home and those services weren't delivered.
the
So we were looking
diagnosticians.
back at what we spent last year. And that's why some of these lines, and we didn't have a data system to go back the year before. So you're gonna see that the numbers in some of these are just, you know, they're off. Yeah. You're gonna see it much tighter in 24.
Yeah, no, it's, but by line, much tighter in 24. We managed to keep the bottom line where it needed to be. But for each individual line, there's going to be some variance.
And it's so true, even at the COVID years, right? Like, so you were basing a budget based on a crazy budget, based on, yeah,
Most
no.
of the lines came in really close,
Yeah.
because especially payroll.
But
we were most
back
of
in the
our-
days, you could, like, before COVID, it was a lot easier to do a
We had-
budget, right? Like you had like consecutive numbers moving in a.
We have to do something because we've lost
You're
a
right,
lot of
sorry.
our historical data.
We're sorry.
No. I wanted to also touch on, and if you see one in between where I'm jumping, please, you know, let me know and I'm happy to touch on it. 53402, that is the Keto Field, workers' comp, regular attorney fees. 53417. That one I actually want you to take a closer look at. Because you'll see that the end projection is lower than the actual.
I'm sorry, what number was that?
53417. And that is because we do bill through Northwest Consortium, we share those costs. So when our portion or their portion that we bill for comes back in, you'll see that number go back down to budget.
It's just where it sits right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
53501.
Can I just want to make a
Yeah.
point on this, a question I think I know the answer to, but I just want it reflected in. So obviously our attorney fees are higher than what we anticipated. But I just want to be clear, that is related to what is on here.
Exactly.
Cato Field, issues with workman's comp. I know there was some discussion at a previous school committee and public comment about astronomical costs due to, and that is not the case, correct?
That's not the case.
We could bring that up.
Five, 4, 3, 1, 1 and 5 through 5, 4, 3, 2, 2. This is a good example I wanted to bring up, and I know we had kind of touched on it at the last budget to actual, but you can really see it here where the UCOA string changes to comply with UCOA, compile these lines, and you can see where the variance is. There's extra surplus in some lines, and then there's, you know, shortfall in some, and they all kind of work themselves out and smooth out because they were just in the wrong UCOA lines, and now that we're complying
And I
with
think,
WIDE.
yeah. And the biggest one is the $90,000.
Yeah.
That actually you're gonna see a surplus further down for $90,000. It just completely offsets it. It just was a UCOA change, so it wasn't a dramatic
Right.
savings.
But
It's-
within the, is that somewhere else in?
Yes.
Because, okay,
Mhm.
I did want to also mention 54405 because I did get new information today from Jay. We did have another cost come in, so that you'll see that area jump up out of my projection around $4,375. Again, not material, but it is stated here, so I did want to mention it. 54602 and 54603. We did have a contract change with a savings of around $2K a month. So that's excellent and worth noting.
can I ask what that was related to?
Copiers.
Oh, and so,
Mhm.
because we had discussed that at one point before, so that's moving, because
All set.
wonderful, thank you.
What was it?
copiers.
Mhm.
Remember when we looked at numbers before for copiers, it was like
Two
astronomical.
contracts
Yeah.
and-
Right.
Perfect.
55111, I did want to mention that that is going to be a reclassification for summer busing to ESER two in the amount of $42,514. And that's already in process. 56209, I did speak to one of the committee members with a breakdown of this information, but I did want to share it with the rest of you. I did call Superior Plus to get a little bit more information about our historical usage. And again, we're dealing with a transitional year that also had to do with COVID as far as a basis. But it is something to go off of. And I did get a breakdown of the gallons of oil used and diesel in each school. And then our current rates, and they are set to go down. So I based my projection off of that. It has been rather warm. So I'm not sure if that will go down, but I did want to mention that I did base it off of gallons used
No one, that's, so you broke it down as you,
by school.
yeah, but you broke it down as close as you could
Exactly.
project
Yeah,
out.
and I hope I'm wrong.
But again, no
That
one,
could be a savings, but who knows?
And
We could-
nobody-
We could go into
Right.
February and March.
And it'll
with
be
like
freezing.
Zero.
and nobody projected the cost moving with I did. That's one of those things.
And you also see it in electricity, those
Yeah.
costs went up, so. I do want to mention 56219 because I did talk to Jay and we know there's supply increases. So that may be a number that you also see
We have like that,
change.
that's like Stephanie, that's like over $330,000 just in utilities.
Mhm.
Thank God we had savings in some of these other
Yes,
lines. like
absolutely.
Payroll.
Yeah.
Because there was no,
My
even with the
God.
best of projections, and I'm not, I don't know if they were, they
No,
weren't. It's-
Who knew that?
I know.
But that's what we're dealing with for a student too. I mean.
Yeah.
Stephanie,
Yes,
back up, number 55401 under advertising costs. I can
Yes.
see that it was budgeted for 2,500, but I'm assuming next year we're not just going to budget 2,500.
No, it's got 40,000 and it's under purchased services, purchased other services. But you're right, it's gonna go, next year it will go right in the budget where it needs to
right.
belong.
Okay.
I definitely want to create
Ah.
a sustainable budget, so. I'm working on
Was
that.
the inner Mary voice? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
One other area worth noting, 57309, we do have a E-rate reimbursement coming in. And that's going to bring those expenditures down to $46,631. I just wanted you to see why, I'm projecting a change that's lower. And I'm happy to answer any questions, but those are little nuggets that I pulled out that I
Yeah.
thought were
So if I,
important to
let me
mention.
just ask a quick question. If I throw a number out, do you know what it is? Without looking? I'm thinking you would. I'm just
Maybe.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
I'm like,
You-
I don't know about after
Well, I
this many
know,
hours.
you've got the school
Maybe first
committee
thing in the
talking
morning.
you Cohen numbers
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, hey, girl, nuggets.
I know that you guys, we had an opportunity to see this in advance. And I know that it's, we went through this kind of quickly, but I just wanted to make sure that this document is this, it's the stage and the departure point for where we're going with the 24 budget. And that's why it had to be really super accurate. And I also think, and I want to mention to Stephanie, tracking this over we've got, how many weeks left? 10?
How many?
Four, yeah, about 10 weeks left. So we really do need to see this really
Right.
monitored.
I'm going to be
really
watching it very closely
super
at this
closely.
point.
Like you had a $375 swing today, but not that closely. But if the oil changes or
Right.
something comes out of the blue, then
But
we'll
this,
need to know.
this
Yes.
is up in its present form. You see,
Good, yeah.
like, and all this is adding to it now, right? Like
Right,
you have this
right.
in the
Yeah.
place
Right.
where it needs to be
Yeah.
and where. I just want to add, and it's not really a budget, it is a budget question, obviously, but not specific to the numbers. I've heard horror stories in the past, and I don't know how true they are, where students or parents have told me that, oh, we can't order any more paper till the end of the budget season. We can't get Kleenex. And I'm not saying this is
Right,
true or
right.
not. So if there is something in a category, no, it's happened. There's been words out, we're waiting for the next
I
budget
think
cycle.
we heard that through the testimony.
So, and I'm not, I just want to make sure that, so even if we fully expended a category, or project to fully expend, if we need something, we're still going to, we're not going to not,
No one's going without.
And all the principals know that if they need something, they just transfer money from the other line. So if people,
It
you know,
wasn't very recently that I've heard that, but I have heard that on more than one occasion. And whether it's, but I just had to make that point be known, and I didn't think that would be the case.
I also wanted to thank the committee for sending questions this weekend or today. Yeah, that was very helpful for me because I want to see where you guys want to know more information. That way I can be.
No, and we
as helpful
appreciate
as
getting
possible to
all of this,
provide it.
having it to digest it too. It just, it really, it's helpful because it's a lot to take in.
Yes.
But I love that it's in this format now. So this is, so on a move forward basis, now that we're in this system and well, maybe with the next budget, I guess too, because you've got to shift some of the UCOA, correct?
Well, it's already shifted, so the new budget will be. built-
Okay, so
it's
it'll
gonna
be-
built in the right color.
So this is gonna be like an ongoing document.
Yes.
That
Mhm.
it's just as you add, as we
There's gonna
spend
be,
money.
there's gonna be
Right.
columns
Perfect.
added onto this for 24.
And that's kind of like a working document that we can have
Yes.
access to, or we can
Yeah.
review on a monthly basis or whatever it needs to be.
Yes.
So the big work of this is done.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah, congratulations. Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. The next agenda item is new business. At the last committee meeting, we had asked that the Northwest Special Education Regional Collaborative Agreement be sent to all of us for our review. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve a second, and then we'll have any discussion now that you've had a chance to review this. So do I have a motion for item A under new business?
I make a motion for the ratification of the Northwest Special Education Regional Agreement.
Second,
Do I have, anybody have any questions or discussions?
I have a question for John. In this contract, under number 7, I'll read it to you. It says, with the exception of the positions of director and assistant director, final hiring decisions shall be made by the executive committee upon approval of the host school committee. That sounds like it's antiquated language compared to the Education Accountability Act. Am I right?
Good point.
I obviously.
Do we want to approve it with the amendment? Okay, do you know how to read the amendment? Just strike that, or how would you want us to
I think,
update that?
w-
No,
Ugh,
I think we can, there's probably no harm in this.
The only thing is, we have people that have in other districts, Erica, that have already signed it.
Yeah, so maybe going forward, they
That's,
can,
that's fine. I mean, I can send, what I can do is send a communication to
There
the
you go.
attorneys
Mhm.
for Foster, which is myself, and to Foster Gloucester and Gloucester, notifying them of this issue and saying that when the contract next comes up,
next
the
year.
Situate School Committee would like this fixed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion for item B to be tabled, which is the first student Situate contract extension, since there's still some ongoing discussions happening under that negotiation. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to table item B under new business.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the last item under new business,
Caroline, can I ask a question? before we
Sure.
Move on from that. Does this need to be rescheduled at an upcoming meeting?
yeah,
Is
when
there-
it's ready to go, we'll put it back on the agenda, maybe the 31st. I mean, I think we're getting closer. So hopefully we can
Okay.
get it done. We can put it on the agenda by the 31st. The next agenda item is approval of the 21st Century Technology and Furniture Fund that we discussed actually as an announcement at the last meeting, and now we actually have the MOA, and I think everyone's signature needs to be affixed to that. I'm going to ask for a motion and a second, and I'm going to open it for discussion. I actually do have a question. So do I have a motion to approve
I make a motion to approve the RIDE memorandum of agreement for 21st Century Technology and Furniture Fund SBA Capital Fund.
Second,
Any discussion items? I just had a question. I know that when we talked a little bit about it, you were having discussions with the principals and what their needs, and it looked like it was really going to start being directed to the secondary level. Do you have a full plan for how that's going to be dispersed? And I don't know if you want to just mention it quickly, or do you want
Sure.
to bring it to another meeting?
No, I can tell you, I did meet with Mr. Hassel and I met with Ms. Morel, and we discussed the amount of money. Mr. Hassel reported that he felt like furniture wise, there are some parameters around how the money can be used connected to career and tech, which is perfect. But he does have some tables that he needs to purchase that would be connected to this grant. So it's about $20,000. So he is going to order those. And then I had a conversation with Dana and we talked about the career and tech pathway classroom and outfitting that room with the remainder of the funds, about $66,000.
What is that career pathway program?
It
In the
is,
middle school?
yes, for our middle school students so that they get some exposure to our career and tech classrooms at the high school in the 8th grade. So we are looking to purchase state-of-the-art furniture in that room, technology. There is not a a touch screen in that room. So Mr. Sheehan and Dana are working together around his curriculum to get furniture and technology to support that pathway.
So when we had the budget workshop, the principals came forward with their needs are, related to furniture.
Yep.
Is this going to fulfill those needs, or is this targeted because of the grant?
It will fulfill some of their needs. Mike Stables were on his
Okay,
budget presentation, so those will be able to come off. And some of Dana's needs will also be filled
one
by
of the
this
things
grant
that
money.
came to my attention was, I know that we had testimony here on during public comment about how the furniture was all broken and things like that, and it had come to my attention that a lot of the furniture was actually removed from the classrooms during COVID because of the space
Mhm.
requirements. And I understand that when the furniture came back out, all of the damaged furniture and broken furniture was actually, it was never put back into the classrooms. Do we have an idea of if we have any, I don't know if that's you, Jay, I don't know if you do furniture too, but how many classrooms we have with broken desks? I know, Colleen, that's been a big concern of yours.
So I went into the one of the middle school classrooms and had an in-depth conversation with one of the teachers around furniture and broken furniture. Because when I go through the classrooms, I don't see broken furniture. But she explained to me like there's a metal bar on the desks that are connected to the chairs, those one-piece units. They may have a metal bar that goes on the outside that may be missing. So the chair is not really broken, the desk is not broken.
Is it a safety issue?
It doesn't appear to be, I mean,
Do we have?
Things
like,
are
do we
steady.
have a list by classrooms and how many little, little concerns we have like that? A desk here,
No, we
desk
could
there,
get-
or is it?
we could get that, but Dana's coming up with a plan to
Okay,
replace
for
the
replacement.
furniture
Okay,
room by room.
okay, thank you.
I just want to ask a quick question regarding, and I know it was a specific grant. So we're looking at 20,000 at the high school, 66 or 60, whatever the number was at the middle school.
And that may be fluid if Mike determines that he missed something and he needs something else.
And I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Is it equitable in that we've allocated no money for our elementary schools through that?
So the way the grant is written around career and tech and career,
But it was 21st century learning, I thought. It wasn't just
I
specific.
know, because the charter school that I'm on board for, they don't have any current technical programs.
It-
and
I did a little printout of exactly what they said it could be used for. And it said, must promote STEM-based learning.
Well,
project
STEM,
learning
Science,
and-
mathematics,
and
and so it could
CTE
be a math
pathways.
classroom, it could be anything.
It says examples of targeted investments include but are not limited to collaborative desks, flexible seating, digital interactive smart boards, classroom and lab AV equipment, remote conferencing equipment, and career tech training equipment and simulators.
So I, to be honest with you, I think you could drive a bus through that criteria because if it's STEM,
A little bit of
there's
everything.
math happening. in
No
it.
salary.
We felt like the middle school
it.
really needed, yeah,
that makes sense.
it needs some attention so that our middle school students and families,
To help
Um,
differentiate it from.
yeah, and that career and tech pathway classroom, I spent some time in there with Dana and Mr. Sheehan. It really needs some help. It is not a happy kind of room.
But I thought we were putting
So-
a whole brand new media room in there. Isn't that-
The staff do not want that media room, so they are working with Dana on another plan for that space. That is what has been communicated to me.
After all those meetings.
Yeah, they don't want the media
Brendan
room.
is laughing.
They don't want it. I don't know what they want to do with the space. That hasn't
But we
been,
have a definitive answer for tomorrow
communicated.
night because it's going to the Department of Education very shortly.
I don't have, it's not been communicated to me as of
Well,
yet.
we can just take it off the list completely. I mean, we need to know what the space, I mean, we have
Right,
so many other
exactly.
priorities, then if they can't decide what they want to do with it, we can move the priority somewhere else. Okay,
Other
all those in
questions?
favor?
No, that was a great answer. I appreciate it.
All those in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Okay, does anybody have any, oh, it's not even on the agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn of open session, reconvene into executive session? And, yeah,
So moved. Second?
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So